Hi, is Ethereum a good long-term investment? As in, does it make sense to hold Ethereum for the next 4 or 5 years? Is adoption likely going to increase? That's the question of this video, and in order to answer this, we will look at various data points. We will mainly look at on-chain data. So that's data that's relating directly to the transactions on the Ethereum blockchain. So for example, how is the active wallet count developing? How many transactions are being performed? What's the cost per transaction? And what we're going to do is we will look at the long-term cycle. So we will compare this peak here in 2018, where we afterwards went down for quite a bit, to the current level. So since that last peak, we approximately doubled. So let's see how usage statistics actually underpin this doubling in price. The data we will look at is from a website called theblockcrypto.com. Link is also in the video description. And we will start off with the number of transactions on the network. So a 7-day moving average. And over here, the 2018 peak has seen approximately 1.2 million transactions a day. Currently, we are pretty much at the same level, a bit lower than that actually. So the price of Ethereum has doubled, the number of transactions has not. However, something you might already know, the cost per transaction, it went up massively since 2018. It didn't just double. And why is that? Because the complexity per transaction went up. In 2018, people used Ethereum mainly for sending it around or for maybe swapping it on Uniswap. Nowadays, there's all kinds of fancy DeFi projects, right? Where you stake, where you unstake, where you rebase your ERC20 token. So there's much more complexity involved. And that's why currently, even though the number of transactions is the same, the cost per average transaction is up. And so let's actually look directly at this. This is the average transaction fee. Again, a 7-day moving average. And here is 2018, right? This was around $3. Currently, we are looking at $37. So more than a 10x in cost, even though the price of the underlying ETH has only doubled. And so this brings us already to the very first topic, right? It very much looks like both the price growth and the growth in complexity of the decentralized apps, it makes the usage of the Ethereum blockchain way more expensive, right? If you're now using Ethereum, you really have to handle quite a bit of money in order to make this worthwhile. You can't just handle, say, $200 for a single transaction. If you want to play around with smaller money, you have to go to the competitors, say Avalanche, for example, or Phantom. Now, where does all this complexity come from? Why did the average price for a transaction 10x? Over here in this chart, we've got the top 20 gas-consuming smart contracts in the last 30 days. And what's at number 1? That's OpenSea, the leading NFT platform on the Ethereum network. So it's NFT trading that's using up all that space in Ethereum. Afterwards, we've got a funny address over here. I looked that up. I will show you what this is. Then we've got Tether, so the stablecoin Tether. Then we've got Uniswap, a decentralized exchange where you can swap tokens with one another. So that's version 2. Next, we've got, again, swaps, this time on the MetaMask browser extension, another stablecoin, and then, again, a token address over here. I'm going to reveal this very soon as well. This here, Vibrant Proxy Registry, that's, again, used by OpenSea. It's an NFT registry. So think of this simply as an extension or in addition to the gas that already is directly associated with OpenSea. Then again, Uniswap and SushiSwap, so decentralized exchanges. We're not going to get into the bottom ones over here. That's already, relatively speaking, not that important. So what's number 2? That's this contract over here. Look at that, Uniswap DEX. So it's simply the router contract of Uniswap v3. So in that chart we've seen previously, we have Uniswap v3 actually at 2 places. First over here for the router contract, and then again over here. Maybe this address, it's not directly specified, is relating to other options, maybe deposits in liquidity pools and things like that. So that's not necessarily a surprise that we've got Uniswap at number 2. What was a surprise though for me was this address over here. What we get here is Strong Block. There's a separate video on Strong Block on my channel. It's one of the most viewed videos actually. Strong Block is a rather controversial DeFi application where you can buy an Ethereum node and then get rewards that are paid out at least partially from the new money that enters the system. So there's some kind of controversy around this. Feel free to watch the video on this channel if you're interested. What I found very, very interesting is that even though the market cap of Strongblock isn't very high, I think it's not even the top 100 cryptocurrencies, its gas usage is massive, right? This rivals USDC already. It's very close to the gas consumed by MetaMask. So I found that pretty interesting. It's really complexity that's driving up all that gas usage. It's NFTs and it's DeFi. And so the question is, will this explosion in gas fees in the end hinder future adoption? Because there are cheap alternatives out there, but there's way less money locked in those alternatives, right? Ethereum is still by far the blockchain with the most capital locked. And that might be the reason why Ethereum can still stay relatively strong. But let's look at whether or not the increased gas fees have slowed down growth, right? So these are the number of active addresses. During the peak in 2018, we are looking at 640,000 approximately. Currently, we are a bit below that, 525,000. So the number of transactions was relatively equal compared to the prior peak. The number of active addresses is going down a little. So it went down by approximately 20%, which might indicate that Ethereum might become more and more a player for the wealthier crypto investors, right? This is a slow process, right? This is only a reduction of 20% within 4 years, roughly. But still, it's an effect, right? Less active users, but a price that has doubled and an efficiency in terms of US dollars that's 10 times worse. And so the way I look at this fundamentally is that this trend is likely going to continue, right? There is the promise of ETH 2.0 that might reduce the gas fees. But that launch, it has been postponed several times. Actually, already during the hype of 2018, ETH 2.0 was a topic. So $3 per average transaction was already something that was heavily discussed over here. Now it looks like people start to get somewhat impatient. So if you're not dealing with really large ticket values, right? If your transaction size is not in the thousands, but rather in the tens and in the hundreds. And if your decentralized app is targeting retail investors rather than the very rich crowd, then you might already be looking at alternatives to Ethereum. This is at least what the data here suggests, right? This here is another chart which basically shows the exact same picture, just in a different flavor. So over here, we've got the number of new addresses on the Ethereum blockchain. So a lot of growth here in 2018. Then at the beginning of last year, we also had quite a spike, but since then, the excitement is relatively low. And look at this, we stayed pretty low, right? Here, let's look at the peak. This was April of 2021, 216,000, now less than half. April, May 2021, the price so far declined only by 27%, but the growth has declined much more, right? So it does look like, in case there isn't a major dramatic shift, in case the switch from proof of work to proof of stake takes longer than expected, that the efficiency is likely going to go down even more in the future. And with efficiency, I simply mean the US dollar price per average transaction. So it will become more and more prohibitive to use Ethereum. You need transactions that move more and more capital. And one of the main underlying drivers for this, that the price can still be relatively high while the usage is somewhat lagging behind. The underlying reason for this might be the token burning introduced by EIP 1559. So this simply shows how much Ethereum is being burned by this update of the protocol. So it makes Ethereum less inflationary, potentially even deflationary. So the ETH supply on the market is shrinking. This here is a chart that shows this cumulatively. And so in the end, when you're betting on Ethereum, right, when you're betting on the price going up, the fundamental driver you're really betting on is, will the large players continue to use Ethereum mainly for NFT trading, right? NFTs are currently the main driver for gas. And if that market continues to grow, if that market continues to flourish, especially the very high-priced NFTs, right? The low-priced NFTs, they're already exiting Ethereum because it's simply too expensive to transfer them. But if your bet is, let's say, CryptoPunks or Bored Apes, they're likely going to be a thing in the future, then the demand for gas, the demand for Ethereum might continue, and it might further drive up the price. So the nature of Ethereum has changed quite a bit, right? It was really a broadly used smart contract platform. Now it's mainly powering NFTs for the rich guys. So if you're wondering, am I long-term bullish on Ethereum? I do hold some, but I definitely prefer holding Bitcoin over the very long term, simply because some of Ethereum's market share is likely going to move to competitors, especially the EVM compatible competitors, right? The blockchains where you can directly port your Ethereum dApp to, say, Avalanche, for example. It's just a matter of copy pasting. You can simply just fork the code from the ETH-based Olympus DAO and deploy it as Time Wonderland on Avalanche, and you've got way less fees. And I think a lot of the retail transactions, they are likely going to exit Ethereum, because I simply think the promise of ETH 2.0, it has been around for quite a while and it's being postponed all the time. And so I personally am rather bearish that there'll be a real revolution in terms of efficiency for Ethereum. If you enjoyed this video, you are likely going to also enjoy the premium content for the premium members at thebitcoinstrategy.com. We've got daily market updates on Bitcoin, on Ethereum, on various altcoins. You've also got tutorials on how to construct a portfolio, for example, and of course a private chat where you can ask me any questions. Feel free to also like this video, it will help the channel grow. And of course, don't forget to subscribe because I publish videos regularly. Last but not least, we've also got a public Telegram channel. Simply search for Bitcoin Strategy channel within the Telegram app. We are now 1,600 people over there. See you next time. Bye-bye.